This is Flint's Atwood Stadium. The stadium opened in 1929, which means it is nearly 100 years old. This is to Flint what Wrigley Field is to Chicago. It's a classic stadium, and what I love about it is it's been restored over the years, and it is still being used today. Atwood Stadium is named after Edwin Atwood, who was elected mayor of Flint in 1920, and he donated a portion of the site for the stadium. It sits in the historic Carriage Town district area of downtown Flint. Now, the cool thing about Atwood Stadium is when it was designed after the West Point football stadium, so where Army plays. The lower level was designed to look exactly like the Army football field. That just kind of adds, I think, to the mystique. And if you look around, there's a lot of great brickwork here. You've got missing stands over on this side of the field, and the reason that was, they built this for baseball as well as football. And there's been minor league teams here that have played, semi-pro teams. The home plate would have been down in this corner right here on some of the pictures I've seen. But I've also seen they must have possibly moved it to the far corner. If you look over here, there was plenty of room for the outfield, and that's why they adopted that original design. During some of the more populated events that they've had over the years, put stands over here so that they have enough people to sit. They've had as many as 20,000 at the stadium. The actual capacity is somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 or 11,000. So one of the cool facts about Atwood is it was one of the first 3 fields in the United States to get AstroTurf back in the late 60s. They had tried putting in a new sod turf, but the high school football games that were happening were all turning into mud bowls. So in 1968, they put AstroTurf in here at Atwood. Atwood Stadium was dedicated on June 8th of 1929 in a ceremony that was attended by nearly 13,000 people. And a couple days later, on June 10th, they had their first sporting event. It was a boxing match. So in the 1930s, we saw a lot of semi-pro baseball being played at the stadium, high school football. In 1936, Olympian Jesse Owens raced against members of 2 semi-professional teams at Atwood. He, of course, won both races. Starting in 1930, the annual football game between Flint Central and Flint Northern was played on Thanksgiving Day and drew thousands. The 1950 game drew a record crowd of 20,600. That tradition went on for 47 years until the state adopted a playoff system. In 1940, Flint got their first professional baseball team, the Flint Gems, and they competed in the Michigan State League. The next year, they came back as the Flint Indians and won the championship. From 1948 to 1952, the Flint Arrows, who were affiliated with the Detroit Tigers, played at Atwood, winning the championship in 1951. In 1955, the Detroit Tigers played the Cincinnati Reds in an exhibition game here. In 2009, local hero Mark Ingram took part in a celebration after winning the Heisman Trophy. In the early 90s, the stadium had to close, but in 1995, the city of Flint made the necessary repairs to reopen the facility. The stadium had to be closed again, and in 2013, Kettering University purchased Atwood Stadium from the city of Flint. And although Kettering University does not have intercollegiate athletics, they are dedicated to keeping a well-maintained Atwood Stadium. And in 2015, they made the necessary renovations and improvements to help reopen the facility. So of the current tenants that play here, it's mostly high school football, but there is a professional soccer team that plays here, the Flint City Bucks, and they started playing here in 2019, and they won the championship that year. Other annual events include the Vehicle City Gridiron Classic, which is what I'm at today. And there's also a race that ends here, and it's called the Atwood Stadium Races. And there's a 5K and a 10K. I did participate in the 5K about a month ago, and that was really fun. Really cool to end inside this stadium. Hey, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like the content, please consider clicking the like button or even consider subscribing. I'll see you next time.